These times are rough right now with the outbreak of the coronavirus. It's forced all of us worldwide, at least at some point, to stay inside with the quarantine lockdown and only come out during the essential activities like grocery shopping, exercising, walking your dog, so on and so forth. And the social distancing is emphasized throughout the world, forcing us to stay away from people and staying away from any activity that we are so used to doing outside or just anywhere else besides home. Well, these are definitely the dark times right now because of this one virus. This game could not have come at a better time. It is finally here, baby. It is the newest Animal Crossing title, Animal Crossing New Horizons, which was my most anticipated game for 2019 and then partially into 2020 until, kind of close to its release time when once the direct came out. I knew what I was looking forward to, so that kind of fell off the list. But now that it's here, I played this for a solid couple weeks now. There's continually new experiences to be had, so I have to keep revising my, this review right here. There's just a lot going on in that game, so it is absolutely my utmost pleasure to bring Animal Crossing New Horizons in as my first game for this big review sort of format. So of course it is natural to bring in the ultimate question here, and that is it the best Animal Crossing game out there right now for the Nintendo Switch? Well, before we get into that, we gotta do our tradition for these videos, and that is the history segments. So it is history time, Animal Crossing edition. A number of players were first introduced to the franchise on the GameCube. The game actually first started on the N64 that was released on April 2001 in Japan as one of the last ever titles for the system. What people have experienced from their GameCube adventures is simply a port of the Plus edition of the Nintendo 64 title. This Plus port was released in Japan on December 14, 2001 and in the US September 16, 2002. Japan, however, received an E Plus edition which featured improvements and additional features. Animal Crossing, also known as Dobutsu no Mori, literally meaning Animal Forest, was created by Katsuya Eguchi. Eguchi wanted to create a game that would convey the feeling of making friends and building a community after realizing how close he was with his friends and family after moving away to Kyoto to work at Nintendo HQ. Animal Crossing made its firm mark with its first title, having it named to be one of the greatest hits on the GameCube by a number of gaming reviewers and outlets. Ever since then, we've seen more titles on every Nintendo system after, even on mobile in November 2017. However, during the Wii U era, the console and its fans did not receive the Animal Crossing title that they were expecting. Instead, the Wii U only received a spin-off game, Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, with much disappointment and much panned by critics. So instead, people were playing on a 3DS for Animal Crossing New Leaf, which was the biggest one at its time. Despite the shortcoming on the Wii U, it still had a strong cult following, eagerly waiting for the next main title on consoles in hopes of receiving that modern overhaul. Then, in the Nintendo Direct during 2018, it was revealed that an Animal Crossing Switch game was in the works, right after Isabelle was first revealed in Smash Ultimate. It was initially slated for a 2019 release. However, the team wanted to further finely tune the game with the present assets, so they came to the conclusion and decision of delaying the game to a 2020 release. March 20 of 2020 was the day that Animal Crossing New Horizons was fully released for the Nintendo Switch and has met with wide success in sales and reception. It is safe to say that the global pandemic and quarantine lockdown thanks to the coronavirus was partially a contributor to its success and sales. Either way, it has been a hit across the board for Nintendo Switch. Well, what makes a game like this such a huge hit amongst its players? Why is it so lovable? Why is it so popular for a game like this? That's a question I often get from people who, look from the outside in as they want to check out the Animal Crossing franchise. There really isn't, unfortunately, a black and white sort of answer. There's no single answer to just cover it all. So, there's a lot of factors to it. There's a lot of personal sort of, backing behind it. There's just personal reasons behind why there's so much love for this franchise. And, so people have their own answers. They have their own sort of personal experiences with these games. But no less here is my personal take on all this. Animal Crossing games tend to have an aesthetic that works so well for what it's aiming for as a social sim game. It's cute and adorable, so it's easy to approach for all fans and demographics. Its signature, easy listening soundtrack also helps with a relaxing atmosphere as well. On top of that, the game is simple and yet satisfying as you pay off debts from yours truly, Tom Nook, as you continue to upgrade your house and in later games, which all become simply addicting because of the sense of accomplishments from these games that it's able to produce. The adorable fellow villagers add that social aspect to the game, making it much more alive as Eguchi intended. The game essentially is a giant toy box, if you will, like how we play with our toys and role play with them and arrange, certain pieces of furniture, and it becomes whatever is, you want it to be. It could be this, cafe that you have in your mind. It could be a sumo ring. It could be just whatever you want. People have recreated the Pokemon battle, sort of arena with just like really random pieces of furniture and items, and even the bugs and creatures they can catch in the game. There's so many ways to express whatever it is you want to express. It's such a magical sort of feeling that artists and just gamers alike, or just anyone who plays this game, kind of gets out of these games. It's also kind of like a Zen garden, your own personal Zen garden that you can control with such adorable, sort of art direction and animals and all this stuff. And it's just whatever you want it to be. That's just essentially what makes these kind of games very popular. And one can say, oh, why not The Sims or anything like that. I think it's a very different take on the social sim sort of game. It's much more wholesome. It's much more gentle, lighthearted, very easy, sort of refreshing, if you will, easy feeling. Nothing, it's like nothing is very super campy in your face or anything like that. It's very, kind of, it reels back for you and lets you have all the space wherever you want to do whatever it is you want to do, to whatever it is to, create a orchid of apple trees, or, create your own personal front yard or your own private beach or whatever. It's just whatever you want it to be at such a peaceful and serene sort of canvas, if you will. And that's just how it is, or that's just how I see it when it comes to Animal Crossing versus Sims. Sims, yes, does those things in a similar way, but if you compare the two, it becomes obvious as to how these two games are different, even though they kind of fall sort of into that same category or similar category, to say the least. So that's just kind of my take on these games, and there are many other reasons why people love these games, whether it's Sims or Animal Crossing. At this point, it's pretty obvious that it's a big hit amongst Animal Crossing fans, and for myself, I absolutely love it. I, in fact, think this is the best one yet. To be direct with this question, with whether it's it's the best game right now for Animal Crossing, yeah, I think it is. So let's talk about the things I really love about Animal Crossing New Horizons. New Horizons really hit it out of the park on visuals alone, so much more detailed than ever before. Where do I begin on this? The weather feels and looks dynamic. The colors, the foliage, the lighting look so much more vibrant. Even the water itself looks absolutely great. Several parts throughout the day and night look so distinct in its own luscious way. These graphics really bring out the bugs and fish this time around, which makes the museum actually some of the best parts in the entire game thanks to its great graphics and art direction. It really goes to show that graphics and visual direction are very important elements for video games, especially these, where you're spending a lot of time staring at your screen. I noticed that a certain character, Isabelle, is well animated in comparison to the others. Gee, I wonder why. Speaking of animations, it seems like there are more things that your Animal Crossing villagers can do, like holding a drink, singing, lifting weights, running around like Naruto, eating a grilled sandwich, and even yoga. Okay, that definitely has to be new. Perhaps these came from Pocket Camp, but otherwise they definitely are new to me. It's really neat to see what they randomly do on a day-to-day basis. That's really to me a nice touch there. I just like the whole game, how it kind of starts off as, you know, you're at an airport and you're getting ready to go on a big adventure to this getaway island, and the whole aesthetic behind it is such a kind of weird, because I like that feeling of, you know, being at the airport, as boring as that sounds, and as boring as the actual experience itself sounds or is. But being at the airport, means that I'm going to Japan, and I love going to Japan to see my grandparents back in the day, see all the sights again, or see new ones at that along the way, and and the whole flying over, there to Japan, the whole experience kind of just was replicated here in the beginning of Animal Crossing New Horizons. And so I really actually like this sort of direction that they took, and on top of the the graphics being really good and on all that, it really comes together, and I just really like the direction that they went with this time around when it comes to the story bit of things, or the theme around Animal Crossing. It's a getaway sort of vacation, and you can get to have your own island that you can just, it's a molding clay for you to shape over time once you get more and more of those tools. The game once again is further complemented by its delightful soundtrack. While I wouldn't say it's the best one amongst the other games, it certainly complements the aesthetics and atmosphere New Horizons has to offer, making it memorable in its own right. I just wish that they would at least bring back in some of the classic tracks of the past games, like City Folk and New Leaf and so on and so forth. But otherwise, this soundtrack is good on its own overall, in its own right. Let's not forget to mention the sound effects in Ambience. From the rustling leaves of the trees in the rustling breeze to the drips and drops of the tranquil rain, it all helps fill in any remaining void and really brings it all together. Now comes the gameplay. The overall controls are more or less the same, with some updates. Running and picking up the item are now separate, so you won't accidentally pick up items and such, well, obviously when you're riding. They are easy to pick up for newcomers. However, there are still moments of clunkiness, but they don't really take away from the experience overall. There are quality of life updates that are very welcoming, like being able to pick out spots for buildings and homes, which is really nice. The menu flow has been smoothed out quite a bit, making transactions such as selling a smoother process. Yes, there are still some tedious dialogue you have to go through every single time, but no less, it's still improved from its past predecessors. Upgrading your home now increases storage space for your items, so feel free to stash whatever you desire. There are other updates that I could mention, but let's just move on to the new stuff. DIY projects allow you to move your own furniture with the material requirements. You can also customize their colors later on, which really helps with the flexing when it comes to whatever theme you're aiming for. Certainly the biggest highlight in my book though, when it comes to the gameplay department, the Nook Mile system. I've come to really like this gameplay addition. They are essentially reward points earned just by, well, playing the game. Whether it's chopping wood, catching fish, bugs, or certain bugs and certain fish, building DIY projects, these points can be used to upgrade yourself, like your pocket capacity, crafting, custom designing, and much more. You can also grab yourself the Vital Nook Miles tickets. These tickets grant you access to random islands that have various resources that you need for your construction goals. And there is, of course, that fun RNG involved in a certain degree. Now, you may randomly encounter the island that's full of bamboo, emperor butterflies, the terrifying tarantulas, and so on and so forth. Even there are times where you run into an island that's full of hybrid flowers. These trips are also important because this is one of the ways you can find villagers and recruit them possibly as your neighbor for your island. If you like these villagers, you can talk to them before having them join you. This process has been really welcoming because it pretty much lets you pick your own villagers, unlike the past games. Pick them where they can establish their home on your island. You can choose whatever they can move in, and it's all thanks to the Nook Miles. You can also have villagers come into the campsite once you have that built in your village, whether it's through RNG within the game, or you can use the amiibo cards to bring in those villagers as well, which is pretty nice if you actually kept those amiibo cards from back in the day. The other new addition that people have been really putting a lot of mileage is the terraforming, also known as island designing. It does take some time to actually get there, to even get the damn feature in your phone, or Nook phone or whatever. I mean, I just got the damn feature after KK Slider finally performed on my island. I messed around with it, and so far I definitely wish that the controls were more well laid out or thought out. But it still allows people to pull off some really cool stuff with their own island. This is definitely what really sets this Animal Crossing from the rest. As said before in the history segment, in past games you focus on your home, then later on you can add stuff to your town, like the monuments and bridges and lighthouses and such and such and such. Now, not only can you arrange items and furniture and other such items outdoors, you can actually reshape the island itself, which allows for a wider range of expression. You can make all kinds of things if your imagination simply allows it. There are many other good points that come from this game, such as the feature that lets you arrange furniture with the game controls, not with your villager, which is very helpful and it's really cool. There are events such as the Easter event that came around that people may love or hate because of the egg encounters that were out of control until the patch came in, let's just say. But random islands that you encounter, and the item management and more. So it really seems like this Animal Crossing game, New Horizons, is the perfect Animal Crossing game that we all been waiting for. Well, not quite. See, there are some gripes that really stick out to a number of people. Here's mine. Let's address what's perhaps the biggest complaint amongst its fans right now. You can only have one island per console. In the past, the console games allowed such a feature of being able to have multiple towns per player in your own household, so your sibling or whoever can have their own town on the same system. But unfortunately on the Switch, it's gotta be just on that same island. The next gripe I've been seeing that's been a kind of a problem as of late, rather than right at the beginning of the game. I guess it makes sense now, but anyways, it's the tools breaking. as you play the game, the tools vanish after a number of uses, and this has become apparently a big nuisance, after realizing how much annoying it is. These moments become more and more frequent as you go deeper into the game, because you're really want to get more resources, or you're trying to make bigger stuff or more things, so you naturally want to get more resources at one time. So you're just using those tools way more often. So that's why you come to realize that these tools breaking may make or break your experience, I guess. Or at least you'll realize that these things are really annoying, and I do agree with that. The game insists that you can just make another one with its crafting system, right? So that's like one of the big features, right? So you would think that it's okay, I can just make another one, even if the stuff breaks. What really sets off people in this situation is that even the highest tier tools, which is apparently the golden tools, they also break. So it's like it's really bringing like these ugly reminders of Breath of the Wild, which was like one of the biggest games on the Switch, definitely when it launched, of course. And people memed about, the weapons breaking being like paper mache, and it seems like it kind of rubs off here. It's ridiculous that these golden tools that you've earned your way to the top, and you've earned them and stuff like that, finally, for you to find out that they also break after a long number of uses, right? And I don't know how much longer these things last, but the fact that you have to use gold, which is pretty freaking limited, I assume anyway, as part of the ingredients to make these tools, and they break, it's like, that gold is gone, and that to me is definitely an annoyance. I just think it's funny because of the whole Zelda thing that people have been bringing up. Now, like I said, it's something I do understand that it can turn off people, and it does annoy me, and I do find it a nuisance. Well, that's pretty much what it is at the end of the day. It's just a big nuisance, and it doesn't really take away the addicting and fun experience that really is to be had here. One way to slow down this breaking process or frequency of the breaking is actually customizing your tools to a different color. See, each color of whatever tool is actually considered a new item. So what you're really doing here is pretty much you're getting a new item. So therefore, it resets the durability on that tool. So that is one way to kind of get around it or relieve it temporarily. So that that does kind of help a bit, and you can pretty much think of it as repairing your tool. And also these custom tool kits, I guess you can call them, don't really cost much in a way. They're like 600 bells each, and you can buy them in bulk for 3,000, of course. You can build these up quite frequently because they're pretty cheap. So if you kind of like find a rhythm, you can keep using these tools for a longer time. But there are times where even I still have my tools break because I forget to customize my tools. So it would be really nice if there would be some sort of visual indication or cue that your tool is about to break, which happened in the past Animal Crossing games, which is weird because in the past only your axe broke when you're chopping down trees for a good amount of time with that same axe. You can see a crack on that axe, and that's how you knew it's gonna break. So you're just gonna brace for it. All right, it's gonna about to break. All right, that's it. That's how it was in the past. So I really do find it strange that they haven't really implement that back into this Animal Crossing game, especially with the axe in this game. You just don't really see anything, not a nick or a scratch or a crack or a chip or anything like that. None of those really come up in any of the tools. So it would be really nice to see any of that on your tools, so that way you can know when to customize your tools to a different color and stuff like that. So that again, so it would at least prolong the life of these tools, and so you can take care of them better, and you don't have to keep, crafting these tools, going back to your workbench, and keep reproducing these tools in order for you to keep going with the game. Hopefully that'll be kind of fixed around in the future in a patch or something like that, or update, future update for the game. Let's hope that comes around somehow. And speaking of crafting, it seems to be like a double-edged sword of sorts. On one hand, it is satisfying to craft this one item that you've been really trying to build up for, but on the other, it really feels like it's padding out the game, especially with the whole tools breaking, especially even with the gold tools. On top of gathering resources, it really does make the game feel like there's a lot going on. But, people say, oh, it's just because you're just gathering all these resources and your tools breaking, so it takes the game even longer for you to get those tools back. But, take it as you will. But personally for me, overall, the crafting system is alright. I think it's good. It's just that it definitely has certainly a good amount of room for improvement. One thing I do want to complain about when it comes to crafting is that I should be able to build this certain item in bulk, like fishing bait, for example. I have to just keep spamming A just to get all that fishing bait crafted. Come on, man, you should be able to just craft, this many amount of fish bait at once, so that way you can get back right into your fishing or whatever it is you want to do in Animal Crossing. Like, come on, dude. Like, that should have been something that came to mind when you're crafting something. That's like a basic you should think of when you're, making a building game. I'm sure you can do that in Minecraft, of all things, right? And other such building games. One big complaint that it's potentially dangerous for its players, that there is no way to back up your save data for Animal Crossing. They don't allow you to do that for some reason, or at least to back up your island. And Animal Crossing is such a big time sink of a game that if something were to happen to your Nintendo Switch, all that can just that can spell the end of it, and all that time and work just poofs away just like that. Just like you slingshot the balloon, just pop, just like that. And I really do hope that something comes about that can help relieve this problem. The last gripe I have with this game, it's super annoying, and this happens during the online experience side of things, or the online co-op. So whenever someone enters or leaves your island, you have to sit through all this nonsense, the loading screen, the cutscenes, like, oh, this person is leaving your island. You have to, sit through all of that for each single person, and you can't do anything, especially when you have 8 people on your island, and if they come in and come out and do this and do that, it's just really, it becomes like a clusterfuck of things. When you're trying to do something, especially when you're a streamer and when you're trying to do stuff and you want to be friendly towards your audience, and so you want people to come to your island and see what you have, or offer them what you have, or whatever you want to do. It's such a there's so much traffic going on, even though there shouldn't be any traffic. You just be able to go in, go out, and do your thing and stuff like that. And you don't have to sit through all those stupid cutscenes. There's also other actions that prevent people from leaving or entering the island. So one example I can give is, I decided to listen to KK Slider on someone's island, and someone else tried to leave, but I was listening to the song, so the prompt kept popping up like, hey, someone's trying to leave, blah, 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 but I can't end the song because, KK Slider is performing and stuff like that. I can't skip through all that, right? So it's just, while it was a good laugh, but the grand scheme of things, it's really bad. Who thought this was a good idea? Like, are you kidding me? There's also really little you can do, within the Animal Crossing online experience, other than just showing off what you have, or sharing your resources, or gifting stuff to your friends. But really beyond that, there's really nothing else to do. I really wish you were able to go on these different islands or random islands that, the Nook Mile tickets take you to, and do that, and you can do that with your friends, and share all your resources or whatever. You can split them, or everyone can get the same amount of resources or whatever, or does to handle that sort of situation, whatever. As long as we are able to do more than just showing off our stuff. I mean, come on, like that should have been something in mind as well. We definitely need more activities we can do together during an online experience. Now, minor gripes include the custom designs coming out with that weird painted texture. I wish there was an option so you can keep that pixelated look, so you can have that nice 8-bit or whatever 64-bit look that you have in a design sort of pamphlet. I hope there is more options for gates and fences and coloring options on top of that for whatever furniture. Better controls when it comes to laying out paths and especially when you're around the steps as well. I noticed on a lot of people's pictures or videos, they have this weird sort of gap around this step when you're trying to lay down the path. So I wish there's a fix for that sometime in the future. When you draw certain items from your storage, I wish you can take a certain number of them instead of like taking just all of them and you have to put it back into the storage again. Dude, I should be able to just take one or a certain amount of them and then take them out and then craft it and don't have to worry about it that way. While yes, they nailed this basic feature of things, but only in its basics, while they really kind of missed the in-betweens that really would help make that feature a lot more smooth and really kind of mend itself into the game a lot better, or meld itself into the game a lot better than it should. Before I wrap things up, I would love to bring up the controversy that fans bring about here and there, but this definitely happened during the beginning of the game, and that's the whole time traveling sort of controversy. We all know how it works by now, and all I gotta really say is that do your thing, do you. It's your sort of Zen garden, as I said before. It's your toy box, it's your game, so do whatever it is you want to do with it. Even I'm kind of guilty of time traveling during the beginning, because I'm a content creator. I review stuff, so naturally you want to speed things up in a game like this because it's a slow burn in the beginning. So you kind of want to speed things up so that you can get those things a little faster. And also, I wanted to get the museum up and going by the time I started streaming the game. So that's why I went ahead and time traveled for those kind of things. So either way, though, it's you can do whatever you want. In my opinion, I have no problem with that, as long as you don't flex about it online, like, hey, I time traveled, but I got all this stuff, ha ha ha, that sort of thing. I think that's not what you should do with your time traveling experiences. Like, come on, dude. Yeah, of course you're gonna get all this stuff pretty much with a cheat code. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of what it is back in the day. But anyways, point being, it's your game, do you. So you can take it as you will, as the game intended for you to do, or do the whole time traveling thing and get this thing faster, or get more money, or whatever it is you want to do to accomplish that goal with time traveling. So that's all I gotta say with that sort of controversy within the Animal Crossing community here. Now, ultimately, I think despite all the flaws that I've been bringing up just now, I think this is still right now the best Animal Crossing game. It definitely feels most updated. It's got a number of good quality of life features. It looks great. It it runs great, and it's still fun. It's still addicting. It's still true to that Zen garden sort of nature of the franchise. It still has that very refreshing, easy sort of listening sort of feel to it. You know what I mean? It's serene. It's calming. It's peaceful, meditative. That's the feelings I do get from playing Animal Crossing games. It's just relaxing, such a nice breath of fresh air, comparing to all the other AAA games that tend to be more action oriented and cinematic and all this stuff happening on your screen and stuff like that. So Animal Crossing is a nice sort of balance. It's kind of a teeter-totter of things when it comes to that. But yeah, you know, like I said, even with the flaws, I think it still is the best by a freaking landslide. So yeah, so looks great. The soundtrack is still awesome, and not to mention, I almost forgot to bring this up. It works absolutely great on handheld. It's just works as intended. And even with the whole, you know, 30 frames per second sort of thing too, I almost forgot to bring that up as well. I got used to it, and so it kind of just became kind of nothing really. It kind of just something, it's like in the background now, and I'm used to that. Because I know in the past, of course, as someone who did play the GameCube one, you know, these games always ran at 60 frames per second, but, you know, it is what it is, and I think it's still freaking awesome as an Animal Crossing game. So with all that settled, I'm still going to give this game a solid 8.5 out of 10. Not quite a 9, you know, just because of the problems are really annoying, and obviously they should have been looked at before it was released. But, you know, it looks like they're pretty active about updating the game. They, you know, fixed the whole egg thing that's going on. There was too many eggs coming in, so they fixed the rate on that. So they're pretty quick about that. They fixed the issue with, you know, after shooting down 300 balloons, there's no more balloons coming in after that. So they fixed that glitch as well. So they're pretty quick about it. They're pretty active about it. I mean, granted, with the egg thing, there's still a lot of eggs, even before Bunny Day or whatever. But point being, though, they're pretty active about it, and they're still definitely going to bring in more updates and events to continue to add more breadth of life to this game. And I think it's safe to say that this game is going to be on our radar for a very long time, as long as the Nintendo Switch is going. That's pretty much when the game is going to kind of die down, is when Nintendo Switch kind of dies down and the next console comes in or whatever. So with that, I'm really still happy of how Animal Crossing New Horizons still turned out. So that's pretty much it for my review on Animal Crossing New Horizons. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did, hit the thumbs up, and if you have any comments that you want to share about what your feelings about Animal Crossing New Horizons, leave them down below. Love to read them, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It really helps out. Really appreciate you guys, and also the bell. That also really helps with knowing when I put out more videos. And also don't forget to follow all the social media and whatever else in the description box. And so this has been my review on Animal Crossing New Horizons. The next one will definitely be Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm definitely playing it right now. I'm kind of going in deep on it as much as I can, and so far it's been a pretty good experience, but I'll leave that for the next review. So until then, thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Sean out.